We're going live. We're live on the air. Yay! It's Friday Hangout, folks. Here we are once again. And everyone, we got Bill and Marge, and Terry's not here. Steve's here. And that's it. All right, let's go stick the link up for the folks who want in. So how's it going now, Steve?
I'm good.
All right. Yeah, we'll just do the show notes, Steve. There you go. Regurgitate. I mean, repurpose.
That's content marketing.
All right. There we go. That's it for the folks. All right, so let's see. We got. No, it's a free-for-all, man, so we're doing whatever. People want to hit the Q&A, go right ahead. We have one in the Q&A.
Open line Fridays.
So should we talk about click sucking? Wasn't that weird?
Click sucking, yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, turn 30, man. I don't know. What was it? What was the concept behind this?
Oh, it's probably some stupid, get to the top of page 1 of Google and 30 seconds product. I don't know. I didn't look at the product. I just was amused at the
30
term.
seconds, wow. Not getting any better here. Steve, what's up, man? Steve number 2. I'm sorry. We just need another Bill and a Dave, and we're rocking it here.
Oh.
Can't hear you, Steve. You're muted, sir.
Paisley's muted.
Yeah. Mr. P.
His IT guy must be off today.
Yeah. There we go. Nope, still can't hear you, man. So far. Check your settings up at the top. The little settings thing. Fiddle with that a bit. All right, we have a question or two here, so let's go with this one. Using 301 redirects. So if you guys look at the Q&A, we got one example to another. Will we lose our present ranking in the Google search?
Yeah. Duh.
Oh, wow. All right, next question. Anyways, I guess it all depends. You know what I mean? I think of it two ways. If the redirect is because you're actually changing the architecture to make things flow, equity pass through the site better, probably not. But depends why you're redirecting, I guess, at the end of the day. There is some loss when it comes to 301s. It's not huge, but there is some loss in equity. So if all things being equal and you're just changing URLs for the sake of changing URLs, then potentially you can lose. But if you're changing that URL because you're changing the structure of the site, well, odds are that if you did it right, you should actually gain, which would be the purpose of it.
There's your key words there. Did it right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Kind of helpful, isn't it? But yeah. So there's my answer. Anybody else? Nope, we're done. Good. Next question.
Well, the other thing too is if you're just trying to consider impact, how competitive, if you're in a really competitive niche, right, and you're bouncing around in the top 3 and it's constantly moving around, and you do anything to kind of tweak your stuff, you better be able to live with the impact for a little bit of time.
Or monitor it so you can change back. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been known to be wrong before. I've advised things that didn't work, so you can always go back and try again.
Apparently, everything with Google is just a suggestion of some sort anyway, right? With the index.
They're guidelines. Let's see. Adam is asking. Let's see. In light of the HTTPS push lately by Google, would you recommend full site HTTPS switch to clients? If so, what are the inherent risks and/or benefits? Steve, you want that one?
I want that one.
All right. I just gotta say, Steve, I know I got a 50-50 chance of getting some.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I actually screwed up last night, and I was playing around with Google settings because the new dashboard came out. So then I turned off less secure apps, right? I'm talking about there's a thing, turn off less secure apps. That turned off all Gmail access to my mobile device. So therefore, the mobile device is less secure, correct? So therefore, if I have an HTTPS, isn't that going to increase my penetration and ranking and usability in mobile or not because of the security error? So is mobile secure enough to fully go HTTPS yet, or do we still need to use HTTP until mobile devices become more secure?
My big issue, okay, security's great. We love security. Security's a wonderful thing. HTTPS requires static IP addresses. There aren't enough of them. A lot of hosting companies are already rationing them because the hosting company themselves, if they're a small to mid-sized company, may not have enough IP addresses to give every single one of their clients an IP address. So you're having to justify your need, and when you tell them because Google said so, they tell you to get stuffed because there's limited resources. This is not an infinite pit of IP addresses because not everybody's gone IPv6. So you may not even be able to if you want to. You may have to move hosting companies, and that brings on a whole nother rash of issues. The big issue I have is Google has chanted for 15 years now, do what's best for the viewer. The content does not change simply because you put an S in the URL. So why make this change? There is no valid reason they have for it. None. This is just something they've decided on a political level that this is something they want to see done. And I refuse to do it, not only because of the limited resources, but we've already seen a lot of people screw up their migration to HTTPS. And if you're hot linking images from other sites, your customer's not only going to see that you've got a secure site, but they're also going to get a warning. This page is serving unsecure items. Do you wish?
Even images from a CDN, though, right? Not even another site. Even if it's a CDN image,
Right.
Doesn't it do the same thing?
Exactly. What would you rather? What would make your customer feel more secure? Not seeing that error message, or seeing that error message and knowing that only part of the site's been secured?
So when I get my site converted over to HTTPS, and then because I also know speed's a thing, and I run it through Google's Page Speed Insights, and it tells me to use a CDN. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to be back and forth between two Google departments, trying to figure out what to do.
You'll need a secure CDN that understands that you're serving through an SSL. It's just not worth the hassle, especially for a minor ranking boost.
Yeah.
Well, again, that goes back to the 301s because now you got a 301 everything on your site to the HTTPS, yeah. So you're going to lose a little bit of ranking through the 301, and you'll gain a little bit here, so you pretty much break even and charge yourself free.
And look at all the links that would theoretically need to be changed because we all know that a direct link is better than a redirected link. So every single link you've got, you're going to have to go back to and go, could you put a little S in front of that for me?
Who is behind this decision at Google anyhow? I mean, the only time I've ever recommended SSL to clients is when they are actually running e-commerce on their website. And some merchant gateways insist on having HTTPS for checkout.
My guess is the person that suggested this was the same person that was behind them buying that SSL company just recently.
Oh yeah, okay. And so it's motivated by income. As
I'm
always.
Sure everything at Google is motivated by income.
Well, of course, they're a company.
But they want a more safe and secure internet. Well, by making everything secure, you're going to cause you could theoretically cause cookie issues. There's a whole rash of issues that could come up, and the only person that benefits in the end is Google. So I'll pass.
I agree, Steve. I think it's stupid, and people are taking it at gospel, even people who don't sell anything. Well, now I got to put my blog on on a SSL, and that's just stupid.
No,
because they, like you said, they had, there aren't enough IPs to go around yet. I don't know if IVP6 or if I got those letters right, if adding those will help.
Yeah, it'll help significantly, but then you're just speeding up the end of that.
I don't know that we always get an IP address because a lot of times local search is based on GPS, not necessarily an IP address. So then if we're talking about a mobile device in a non-secure environment, we're still talking about GPS in the cloud, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the other part of this, I hear you guys say it's money, but it's also liability. If Google provides a product that is less secure than it should be, then at some point they have a liability issue. So I think part of the thing is at some point we've got to make this crap secure. So my Android mobile device from T-Mobile, according to Google, is a less secure app. So therefore I couldn't check my Gmail on my mobile phone, but I can on my iPad. Doesn't that scare the hell out of you or something? Am I wrong?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You know, I mean, our mobile devices at this point aren't secure. So I think at some point they will need to be, and I think that's where HTTPS comes a big factor more than anything else later on.
Yeah, I think the liability issue, and they're doing some pre-work for a precedent-setting court case.
Yes.
In setting what, Bill? I didn't hear the word. Forte?
They're doing some pre-work for sooner or later a precedent-setting court case.
AKA
Okay.
covering their ass.
Yes, exactly.
Is that the Canadian way of putting it?
Yeah, A. I just forgot A on the end.
Well, Forte is also a product, a software product, so it kind of, you know, my brain went sideways. Okay. Oh, God. Well, at any rate, it's lame. And everybody's overreacting. I sent out the news to my clients not to do anything, you know, just to make them aware.
My theory is that very, very much like when they rolled out PageRank, it's being used more of a signal of an SEO works here.
Well,
Boy,
it's
Go
also
ahead.
commerce or not. Sorry. You know what I mean? Because if it's HTTPS, then it is commerce capable. At some point, a non-HTTPS link will be non-e-commerce capable. It's not secure, right? Nobody's going to pass the link. Logical? Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Anything related to that corporate security systems rely on? That header information?
Yes, absolutely. For email, like BlackBerries, and like, for example, in some places you take the reason why the Bureau, the reason why the federal government used
Strike that hideous comment.
There goes my security clearance. The reason why the government used BlackBerry was because they did contain that HTTPS and they did have that encrypted header information that they could pass, which you can't pass over the internet because not everybody knows how to decrypt it. The same way that most mobile phones may or may not work with some HTTP certificate issuers. I mean, what happens when VeriSign and Verizon don't get along, and so that your mobile device won't load VeriSign certificates because Verizon or whoever the incumbent bandwidth provider says, well, you need to pay us to be on our thoroughfare if you want to be secure because we want to make sure your encryption is up to our standard, so you have to pay a fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Oh. Can't hear you, Terry.
He was on the phone. I take it. He was muted. He was taking on the phone. He's like, hey. So what are the other questions? Oh, the international one?
Yeah.
You want me to play with that one? I got that one. The problem
Yeah, put it up.
is you have basically there's a couple tenants with Google. One is a subdomain, meaning if we're talking about Espanol, we would have like es.seodojo.com, and that would be the Spanish language version of a U.S. commercial website. Okay, if you have www.seodojo.com/es, that would be typically from Google's perspective an American website in Spanish. But if you have a seodojo.es.es, that would be the Spain-hosted version of SEO Dojo in Espanol, which you could also have es.seodojo.com/en for a Spain version of, or an English version of a Spain-hosted website for SEO Dojo. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so the part is when they do a .eus, they're going against a convention where ES, either ES dot is a subdomain or /ES is a directory, is not only a language signifier, but it's a country signifier. So therefore, .eus would be a different country and doesn't even apply to the Spanish language translation of any website, and therefore would screw up Google. So I would redact, remove, do not use the .eus because it will definitely cause confusion with your .es website. Does that help?
I like it. Yeah, I think so. Anyone else? I like it. Good enough. Beautiful. Let's see, no more questions. Just William sort of losing it.
Where's Slavsky?
Where's Bill? I don't know. Oh, here, I'll send him a message. See what he's up to.
Well, here's the thing. We were talking about the knowledge vault, knowledge graph, and all that other kind of stuff, right? And I left some comment on his blog about it. And I think
I'm sure
the knowledge vault is based on temporal relations between a user and Google. What do I search for when I mean this? What do I do when I do this?
I think to a degree, as it evolves, the knowledge vault is sort of more of a repository, meaning like an index, as opposed to the graph itself is connecting things instead. You know what I mean? I get the sense that's where they're going with it. We'll see. I don't know. But again, they're apparently saying it's not a big deal anyways. They're not really using it at this point. So it's all sort of...
Pay no attention to the knowledge vault behind the curtain.
Right? I call BS on that in a big way. Because I know they're using it because I've had to correct it for clients like on a frequent basis. You know what I mean? Like I had
that could still be part of the knowledge graph. Again, which repository and which part of the system is doing what, we don't know. So.
Well, I think the other part is you can replace Wikipedia with Google Plus based on the activity of a Google Plus. Are you registered with Google Places, My Business? Do you have the thing where they automatically blew out? You have, let's say 200 locations, brick and mortar locations. Did they blow out 200 Google Plus pages and 200 YouTube channels for all your locations at once? Then you become a bigger entity in Google, and therefore your Google Plus can override Wikipedia. If you have all the connection points, meaning if you're going to play fair with Google and registered in their services and classify your business according to their rules and regulations, they're going to give you better placement, period. Agreed?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, just deleting stuff. All right, William, you need a nap. William's got limited sleep. Okay, let's see. Oh, yes. Just because I like to repurpose. Let's put this up for Terry. Did you guys see this bit of awesome?
Which bit of awesome?
This right here, man. This is awesome. It's just for Terry. Come on, Terry. You got your mic working yet?
Search message with a 6-year ranking factors content now really king.
Test. There we go. It's working.
There we go. Yay.
Yeah, this is kind of funny.
It is. We enjoyed this yesterday or the other day.
Yeah, we were talking about.
Oh wait, go back. Oh my God, did they actually say that?
What site speed is more important than keywords in your title? Yeah, it actually says it.
Well, no, I was looking what it was.
Google Plus ones are high on the list.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
that's
higher than backlinks.
Oh yeah. Well,
6 seconds all the time.
That's what correlation will get you.
Oh hell yeah.
Facebook, Pinterest, yep. Mm-hmm.
I put the link in the chat, DJ.
Tweets.
If you just wanted to click it.
Right on. Okay, don't.
Tweets. Yeah. Look at this one. No follow backlinks. I like this one.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
No follow backlinks are actually more important than backlinks with a keyword in it.
Or backlinks from news domains? My ass.
Yeah, those are always trusted. Yeah.
Backlinks with anchor equals domain TLD.
Nothing about brand mentions.
Oh, really? You're right. Because you didn't hit knowledge graph at all with this.
Keywords in the body. Apparently, keywords in the body is pretty low down.
Yeah,
So don't worry about that.
Well, here's the thing. depending on how you use these things, depends on how well they work. If I have the same keyword in my title, my meta, my keywords tag, my abstract, my H1, my title, and the first 3 words of the first sentence of the first paragraph in the body copy, that body copy word is going to kick ass.
No, it doesn't matter because look, title's down here, man. You should just have lots of tweets and Facebook shares, okay? Like, fuck, man, get your head together. Even H1s don't matter. Apparently, H2s are more important than H1s. That's sexy. Yeah.
Why are Facebook comments so high? What was I seeing there?
Keywords in the title is way down here. So don't worry about keywords in your title. Apparently,
Okay.
you want a bunch of plus ones. This shit's awesome.
And they only use their tool to run this analysis, correct?
Well, that's and here's SEO visibility, which is their trademarky tool thing. So apparently, they've even put their own elements in here as a ranking factor. Well, that doesn't speak volumes. I don't know what does.
See, we should have some kind of a group where we could vote for unpublished ones.
How do you like that? Facebook shares are on that list and they aren't even indexed.
Doesn't matter, Jim. They're important. Got a Facebook comments. Facebook comments are more important than backlinks.
Yeah.
Well, so not the full number, but
you know what it knows.
Steve, what were you saying?
They ignored the robots file on Facebook. That's why they know that. So their tool is actually not robots compliant.
Oh, they forgot keyword density.
Mitch Bode, our buddy Mitch is out there in the Q&A. He says, since when was content not one of the most important factors? Well, yeah, Mitch, that's kind of why we're laughing, is because really, I don't think a page with no content on it, I don't think it's ranking for much. So it's kind of stating the fucking obvious, isn't it? It doesn't speak to quality or depth of content. It's just content. It's like, okay, yeah.
You have to remember, too, Dave, this is correlation. So what they're basically saying is, these elements are found most in sites that rank high.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. Again, but they're also calling the study a ranking factor study, though, Terry. They're not saying they're not saying social shares correlate well with sites that rank well. No, they didn't say that. They're saying a ranking fucking factors. That's like no. Sorry.
And just so everyone knows, we have worked with these.
Oh yeah, yes. We used to work for Research Metrics as a consulting team.
I can honestly say it's the first time I've ever been relieved when a contract has been canceled.
Hey, you guys watching this?
All right, hold on.
What are we watching?
Oh, yes. There we go.
Picking a fight.
Yeah. So of course, dude. All right. So here's your content. Here's your content ranking factor, everybody.
Right? I'm gonna play.
Okay. Here's your content ranking factor. Our content ranking factors are
number 1.
Site speed is number 1. Yeah. Then is your position of keyword and title. Okay, that's a reasonable length of URL. But again, H2 is above H1. That is so good. No, look here, Steve. Description is a ranking factor, too. Keyword and title, again, way at the bottom. Because you wouldn't want that, would you?
Wow. I'm doing it all wrong.
Yeah, I am so sorry we've led you astray at the dojo.
Video integration is higher than keyword and title.
Is this a good time to go back to the? Is this a good time to go back to the SEO certification argument?
Yeah, probably.
No, I think instead of certification, we just need to have a group where we can just vote and say this is just stupid and unpublish it.
There could be a board that when we come across stuff like this, Search Engine Land is forced to take it down.
Well, I thought that board was called the regulators. Never mind.
Regulators already dumped all over this thing.
I'm
For more
sure.
time than I thought it was worth that.
David, what's the link you have up right now? Can you drop it in the chat?
Oh, it's just the pictures from that search engine land post. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm just clicking on the pictures here. I'll give you that link.
Thank you.
I'll put it
It's
on
hard for
the
my old eyes to
page
see that.
too. I'll put on the event page for those who need a giggle.
We
If you're so
always like
inclined.
giggles, don't we? What's
All
are you
right.
singing?
I don't know. I'm just humming away. All right. So let's see. The next one is the on-page technical ranking factors. Okay. All right. Relevant terms. Okay. Yeah. You need relevant words on your page. Okay. Number of internal links. Well, yeah. Okay.
Well, keywords and body. Maybe they are kind of alluding to keyword density. I love that one. Okay.
I don't even know because you got relevant terms and then keywords and body. Well, where are these relevant terms? I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing. Text character length, word count. Really? Keyword and external links. Sentence count. Really?
Well, they don't even mention good grammar, do they?
No, might as well. Keywords in the H1 apparently is a negative. Okay, sure. Why not? Why not? That's gonna kill you. Maybe I'm reading this shit wrong, but yeah, I don't know about this stuff. It's kind of wonky, and I have no idea. But we found it amusing on the show this week. So there you go.
Now what?
Oh, link ranking factors. I'm sorry. There's more. Number of backlinks. Okay. SEO visibility. Nope. Throw that out. No follow backlinks again. Wow. And does this, you know, one of the Steves, does this kind of speak to the validity here, the correlation? Just because you've got a popular site, yeah, you're going to have a whole bunch of no follow links, but how that's a ranking factor, I don't get it.
Well, I think you still got the domains, or depending on, well, I think you've got to skew your thing of screwy science, because realistically, if I have a bunch of backlinks that are no follow to a bunch of spam sites, but they just happen to contain a bunch of different variations on a keyword, like I bought women's shoes, men's shoes, you know, women-shoe, women's-shoes-sales.co, men's-shoes.sales.co, ladies-shoes.sale.co, and I've got like 50 to 100 variations, and I've got them all no followed at the bottom of the page. Basically, it's the same thing like hidden text in terms of backlinks for no follow, because that would work because you have keyword-rich domain names, backlinks, rel no followed, and that would contribute to your ranking at some point theoretically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're skewed factor because basically the scientific methodology behind this is skewed.
So here's the thing. Are the search metrics guys just laughing at this group because it's actually being taken seriously when all they were trying to do was collect names and emails?
No, they're very serious.
Marketing?
No, they're very serious. No, they're very serious about this stuff. You know what I mean? They believe in it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think without the methodology, we don't know exactly how the metrics are measured or filtered or ranked or quantified or valued or anything like that.
They all came from their program, from data collected using their program.
Correct.
Well, what's the most solid list of ranking factors or a study related to it that you've seen?
There isn't one.
Between my ears, and I don't share it.
Yeah, there isn't one. And again, you know, the one thing you learn reading patents and papers and stuff, that things change not only from freaking location to location, like, you know, local targeting, but things change within query spaces. Google treats this query space that's heavily transactional different than they're going to treat this query space that's heavily informational, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so any kind of, again, this goes back, Bill, to the whole best practices kind of discussion, that things change and how they treat query spaces varies. So any one definitive fucking guide about this is useless. It's, you know, come on. Like anybody who's publishing stuff like that, obviously, it's just showing that they don't have a clue how things work. So, anyways, all right, moving on to our next question. It's from
When is
Marvienne.
that
Marvienne.
anyone, Dave?
What?
When is not knowing what they're talking about stop people from talking about?
Never.
There you go.
We have a question from Marvienne. I believe it is Fulton. She says, if client has international franchises that uses duplicate content, will the use of country domains prevent penalization? Again, duplicate content, unless it's on a really duplicate content, unless it's like scraped or in a really heavy sort of spammy way, isn't actually a penalty. It's more of a filtering issue, meaning that Google's going to, display this page over that page. So penalty is probably not the right word, but I know what you're getting at. So certainly, as far as I'm concerned, you can do one of two things, which are, country subdomains, or you can just get country TLDs. Terry, the guys we worked with there that had, 16 countries? I think they were in, and at 300 dealers, so it's the same kind of deal. And, they had lots of duplicate content, but it was always on TLDs, co.uk.au, et cetera, et cetera. And they never really had any major issues with that because Google's just displaying that content in that region for, users of that line. So, I don't know. Anybody else? As far as I'm concerned, my answer is TLDs are great. If not, then go with subdomains. Anyone else?
That was kind of the thing.
Okay, try it again. What was that, Terry?
Subdomains or hreflang would be my choice.
Tim, you're over in the EU. What's your word?
Yeah, I'd look at TLDs, hreflang, and then subdomains in that kind of order, depending on what we're really targeting or what it's pushing.
Ease of implementation.
Yeah.
And how
right, well, there you go.
I gotta work with.
Qualification. Point number 3. How stupid is the dev team? Let's see. That's that one. Next, let's see. Okay, sorry. Sarcastic comment.
Whoa! No.
Okay, same question. Everybody wants to start something, go ahead. I'm just sorting through all the Q&A here.
Well, are you, along the line of your different Google search methodologies, rankings, algos based on need state or what you want or where you're at or how you're searching, the other part is Google has different databases in different states. Like Michigan looks completely different than what Texas search looks like. So there's a lot of different ways that Google has what Google looks like in the UK or in France is completely different than what we would see here in Texas or someone in California or someone in Canada would see.
Well, that's it. Like I said, like even high, like the payday loans section is going to be treated differently than another SERP, etc. You got to know how certain query spaces are reacting and how Google's treating them.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you have the whole problem with this ranking factors kind of approach to things. What works, what's strong in one area might be weaker in another.
And, today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
Also, see, what they're basing it on is correlation to higher ranking. So it correlates that the better your site is, the more money you make on it. Therefore, you can afford better hosting, better bandwidth, all kinds of stuff. That's why that kind of a survey, I put it in the category of useless, not even worth a read. That's just my opinion, though.
I put it in the humor basket. I need a good laugh today. Go read this thing.
Or we need a topic on the regs that'll kill 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, you gotta kill 20 minutes on the podcast. Why not? It'll do. I think we sucked about half an hour on it, actually. It's a bit of fun.
Well, I would think some of these lists, let me play devil's advocate, that some of these lists, some of the items are useful in the sense of a checklist of, are you paying attention to this? In other words, a list of good practices. Some of them,
yeah, but somebody's going to take
best practice.
Someone's going to take that list as is, though. You know that, and they're going to like try and implement it. You know, these are most important. These are again. If they called it a correlation study, if that was the goddamn name of the thing, I probably wouldn't have as much of a beef, if at all, because that's fine. At least you know we're calling a spade a spade. We're saying this is a correlation study of sites that rank well, and here's what we found. If that's what how they went about, you know, promoting this thing, I'd be fine. Problem is that ranking factors term has to come in, and now it's like, oh my god. No.
Even if they called it ranking signals, I'd take it a little more seriously.
Well, the arguments would be different, right?
Yeah. Well, it would make more sense then. Now, as ranking factors, it makes no sense. Excuse me, at all. Sneaking dinner in, Dave's changed the times around and thrown my schedule off.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, man. Steve, Garrett, sir. Oh, wrong one. Hold on. There's a question here. Where was it? Sorry. Where was it? All right, here we go. So, Mr. Garrett, sir, what is the best way to show up from an outer community to a nearby metropolis, specifically for keywords, example, Mazda Edmonton? So it's the ever popular, I guess, Steve, ever since we lost the near your location kind of targeting, it's all very specific now with,
Yeah.
So how does I was going to say, is there a way these days to get back what we used to do? But
not without skirting the edges of what Google prefers us do. I've got a couple of clients right now where we're working through this area, this issue where they serve a region, and they might cover 500 square miles legitimately in their business. Yet they don't show up for anything except for a search within 20 miles of their address. So that becomes less of a local issue and more of a keyword issue. That makes sense? Where you're starting to work more in that kind of range. I don't even know if you can still do this anymore. You used to be able to go into your business account and define the region that you worked in.
Yeah, you can still do that. You can do it whether you're a service area business or not.
Right.
You can do that. Now, it may or may not have any impact. This is another one where everything is all over the board, and particularly so for the last month with the, let's say, Pigeon update. And I remember seeing this for a local car dealer here, and part of their problem was Google was doing it a certain way for so long, and they weren't actually located in the city. They were, as much as a half hour north of the city center. Now, the city center doesn't matter the way it used to, the centroid, because Google may put a centroid differently depending on where businesses are clustered. I don't know how they do it in cities in Canada, but right in our big cities, you tend to get these car dealerships clustered around the edges where property is cheaper. So, exactly. Yeah, so if you're the one outlier that's way outside of the pack of everyone else, you're going to have trouble.
Yeah. I deal with a lot of, I would call construction companies, maintenance companies, landscapers.
They work at the client.
Yeah, they jump in a truck and drive. Their region is pretty significant. Yet getting them to show up for anything other than their little city, especially here in Tennessee, where you've got these little cities that are 1,000 people, and all of a sudden,
those aren't little in Tennessee. That's not a little Tennessee city. 13 is a little Tennessee city.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, the one I live in's like 530. So yeah, I get you there. But you understand the issue is So since you can't do this using local search, it becomes a real significant challenge to show up on a map. If somebody wants to go to a showroom, they say, "Well, I want to." If they want to go to a showroom, they're going to get the one that's closest to them, but it may not be the best one, or even close to the best one. Or if they're looking for somebody that provides a service, I mean, plumbers, HVAC guys, they all get in their trucks and drive. And they've all been
Google,
really
Mazda Edmonton.
Uh-oh. What was that, Paisley?
According to Wikipedia, Edmonton is the capital of the Canadian province of Alberta.
Okay, Google, Mazda Edmonton.
Here are the listings for Mazda near Edmonton.
Very good.
Well, that is a good point, though. You know, for this individual,
serious,
it
what?
could be that if you can't, that you might want to give up the Mazda Edmonton on desktop map searches and make sure you're doing well with mobile, because people are looking for you while they're on their phone.
Yeah. Because I don't think there's an easy answer. We used to be able to do it a lot easier than you can now. So.
Theory, Mazda dealers Edmonton.
I found a few Mazda dealers in Edmonton, Canada.
Now, Steve, you know what's interesting is just on the whole personalization, right, is that's the exact same set of results that I've got for the same query, which doesn't happen too often.
Okay, next up is Marvienne Fulton again, who is asking, do you have advice on how to help a client overcome a bad Yelp reputation? His business has tons of great hidden reviews, by the way. I put all the hidden ones on his site already and have him cycling through his footer. Still, requests for estimates are slowing down. Any advice? Steve, from the regulators this week, pay for it! Yeah, anyways, everybody got something there. It was a story we covered this week with Yelp actually involved Yelp actually getting a court ruling, I think it was, Steve? Yeah. There was a court ruling with Yelp. Oh, there's Terry. I can't even see Terry. I don't know if he's there. Yeah, it was a court ruling, was it, guys? That basically they have the right to promote people's listings if they're paying high ad bucks with their system. So. Otherwise, anybody got some experience with Yelp they want to share?
Yes. All right. So first thing you do is you go find all your good 5-star reviews, and then you set up a Facebook page, and you only share those reviews to your Facebook page. That's one way to do it. As far as paying them, basically paying them, the only thing that really you get for a benefit is they don't show your competitors ad on your listing anymore. That's really the only benefit you get with that. With Google's new update that's coming out, what is it? What's September 12th? So it would be October. Hang on. What the Google update that comes out October 23rd will have the stars being green instead of yellow, and they will also be, as well as the Google local listings, as we saw for the Edmonton dealership. You will also now have the Google Local Plus pages for the dealerships with their green rankings. So local will keep the green part, but on Google Plus you'll have green stars, and they'll mix that in the results. So you'll have 2 listings. One is a location map listing for mobile, and then one is the Google Plus reviews listing in the Google thing, and they will all pretty much probably be above or mixed in with the Yelp reviews. So the green stars for Google will eventually replace all the yellow stars, and then at some point, then as soon as they get all that stuff copyrighted to where nobody else can use the green stars, right? So then you'll be able to differentiate Yelp results from Google results based on stars. But the thing you want to do is that you have that are all good, read them, open them up in a new page, Google Plus them, the good reviews, just a +1. There's an extension you get for Google Chrome where you can +1 those Yelp reviews that are all 5 stars, open them up in a single page, +1 them. Also, only share those good reviews to your Facebook page. You can also get on the Yelp mobile app and share those same reviews, as well as doing it on desktop differently to a Google Plus page or a Facebook page, and sharing only the 5-star reviews, will make it to where only 5-star reviews for Yelp will show up, even if the first 5 to 10 reviews are all crappy. And normally people psychologically see a 5-star review, they don't go look at it. They see a 4, it's still okay. Once it gets to a 2, then they may look at it. A 1 will definitely just shy them away. They won't normally read the reviews, but normally around a 2, 3, or a 4, they may question, they may click. So as long as you got a 5, then definitely they will just pass over it. But if it's a 1, then more than likely they're just going to view that as negative only.
Hey,
Now, Steve, you're talking. Go ahead, Terry.
2 things on the advertising. Not only does your competitor not get his ad on yours, you get your ad on competitor sites. And from what I read and how I understood it, when you buy Yelp advertising, it actually affects ranking in the search.
Well, within their search.
Yes, within
And also
there.
within Google and Bing as well. If you buy ads in there, then they will show up as well, just because your name is listed twice on a page for your own page.
Right.
Therefore, the link to your website becomes more prominent on Yelp.
You know, with Yelp, you've got to be careful that you don't do anything to incur their wrath, because you might get away with things and you might not. And if you don't, you won't have much recourse in dealing with them. Depending on the specifics of the situation, Marvian, you may be better putting your energy into something else other than Yelp.
Yeah,
because those hidden reviews are not going to come out unless those Yelpers change their behavior on Yelp. And I would be very careful about putting Yelp reviews on your website.
Oh my God, never put Yelp reviews on your website. And the other thing is, Bill, to kind of go with what you're saying, when people click on stuff in the hidden reviews, don't ever use the same computer, IP address, etc. network to log in and manage your reviews from an ORM perspective, meaning have the person that does the management of your reviews and the online customer service on Yelp for you with a paid account. Make sure they have one IP address, and the person who's doing all the moving around to this stuff and clicking on stuff can't be in the same IP range at all. Just so you know. Because otherwise, then they will notice you, because they do track IP addresses on logins.
Terry, you had 2 cents there?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope. All right, so next one's going back towards the local stuff here again. And before we go, Tim, you were saying things are fucked over. Sorry, things are a mess over there lately, or what?
Yeah, our local search results are just totally balked at the minute. Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, you can't even search.
Like how so? Like, you've gone back to Bing. How bad is it?
It's bad. It's bad. You get all your directories back in there. You know, directory listing, check a trade, directory listings. How good is my trade? You know what I mean? You have to literally go down to page 3 to find your local emergency plumber.
Jesus.
It's terrible at the minute.
Hey, Dave?
Yeah.
I got my screen up to answer your question right there about the local Google reviews.
Okay, so here's the next question from Mike Blackmore, which is, how much do you think Google review scores currently play in the ranking factors for local searches? If they do not currently do, you see them having an effect down the road for organic listings, etc. Thanks. Yeah, they're certainly playing in.
You're mixing 2 things there.
What's that, Terry?
Well, as I understood it in talks with Darren, he said that getting a whole bunch doesn't really help. That once you reach around 5, you're good. And I can tell you, I've seen a lot of niches where the average amount of reviews that people are getting are only 3 or 4 Google reviews anyhow. If you get too many, it actually looks worse.
Yeah. I think we have to assume that Google, the trajectory, that sentiment analysis is important. That it doesn't currently seem to, the consensus seems to be that the negative doesn't impact the ranking yet, but that Google is surely working in that direction. Now the question is asking about it with organic, and right now to piggyback off what Tim said, because of this recent update, right? They've mixed up apparently there's more of the organic algorithm dynamic affecting the local, because one of the things you notice, and this may go to the stuff that Tim is seeing, is that people are saying that the whatever the local algo looks like now, that the penguin-oriented penalties are not affecting it, so that you are getting really crappy results from sites that used to not rank because they kind of come out from under a penguin penalty when it comes to the local. Now, not the localized results in organic, but the maps listings, right? There's just a lot more junk and a lot of niches showing up. Sites that are apparently being penalized in pure organic. So at this point, it's so messy. It's mostly the advice from, I think, some of the better ones in the industry is just hold on tight and let the dust settle before you start running around trying to figure out what to do now. Just sit still and think long term.
That algo was too borked. It fucked up the results too much. They got to be trying to fix that. That's my.
Yeah.
Well, I think you look at the reviews aren't always going to be the ranking factor in any kind of listings, because you're also going to have a local aspect. Meaning, if I've got somebody like this Mazda example we're showing on the screen, we have like 5 different Mazda dealers in Edmonton, and we have the first one has 18 Google reviews, a rating of 3.4, then 66 Google reviews, rating of 3.3, 21 Google reviews, rating of 4.1. The next one is a 4.6 rating with 75 Google reviews, and then the next one's 4.5 rating with 56 Google reviews. But the thing is they're clustered based on distance. But I'm not even in Edmonton. I'm basically at this point I'm in Texas, so therefore it's clustering based on the city center. So therefore B should be the first one that ranks because the closest to me. However, look at the fact that it has 66 Google reviews and the one above it has 18 Google reviews. Maybe the 18 Google reviews are spaced out separately and the other ones are all spammy. And that may be why these ones with 75, 56, and 66 are ranking below one with 18 that isn't closer to me geospatially. So therefore now we've got about 5 different factors that we have no way to determine which one's going to be better, right? Yes?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Even at the end of the day, I think there's even an element of as far as sentiment analysis and stuff that comes into play too. You know what I mean, Terry? Like that one study we looked at where they were throwing out people that only left positive reviews and people that only left negative reviews, they threw them out. And that they were only interested in people that were Google users that were unbiased or seemingly, you know, were positive sometimes, negative other times.
Positive and negative.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't even make sense.
No, it means you're always pissed all the time. If you're an asshole who doesn't like anything, why should I listen to your reviews or your sentiments about anything? Because you're never fucking happy.
Say everything is negative, whether it's good or not.
Well, but what if I don't want to post stuff negative online because it makes me look like an asshole, so I'm only going to post nice stuff online?
Too bad for you.
Then Google doesn't want to hear about them either. But again, this was just a study of theirs. Who knows how they're actually treating the sentiment analysis, but I think it bears thinking about, you know.
It's like in some things you take out the top result and the low result and take your data from what's left.
The Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Throw out the high and the low score, you know.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Let's see.
All right, let's see where we go next. Well, we're back to the locations thing here again with Mr. Mark Knowles. So back on the franchises we talked about earlier. How should a franchise build and promote pages for each of their locations? Well, location pages, I believe, is the official.
The person right in front of the store. Anything else is a waste of time.
Well, I think the franchisee also has to communicate with the head office, meaning you don't want them sucking up all your SERPs, right, Terry? We saw that before, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas the head office is sucking up the SERPs. So you need that. You need the head of the franchise actually linking to their location pages as well with your link to your site to tell Google that this is important.
That strategy depends a lot whether the smaller shops, right, the organizational shops, have their own websites or not as well. Whether they're all working off the same website with a page on that website, or whether they actually have their own website. The strategy changes depending.
Have a look at look at this local one, right? you see these?
Sorry.
You see these? That's actually one review, which Google has decided to split into 3.
Yep.
I mean, how balked is that?
What?
That looks like 3 reviews saying don't waste your money, don't go there, better service elsewhere. But actually, it is.
I look at the top where it says join Google. Tim doesn't even surf logged in.
Yeah. Look at that. See, that's actually one review, which Google is splitting up and showing as 3. Yeah, thanks, Google.
Well, Tim, you're probably seeing too when you look at Google's from around the net, from around other reviews, they're apparently randomly, but it's not random, just pulling text off of other directory sites, off of advertisements, off of just copy on the page, and indicating to the user on the Google listing that this is a review from Super Pages or Merchant Circle or some review site. When you go to that site, it's text from an advertisement or just some arbitrary copy on the page. Because Google had turned that off for a little bit. Back on that franchise question, and obviously the devil's in the details, depending on the relationship between the franchises and the locations and so forth. But I could easily see that what you would want is the franchise, the main website, to have individual location pages for the cities or however it's broken down, right? And then if there's budget for it, for the local, the specific franchise to also have their own, cityfranchise.com. So maybe you get 1 and 2. You need the information to be accurate. You need the content on the page to be unique, not just replacing the city name. And you really need to use local schema. So it's really not that complicated. I mean, most of what I see is nobody does much with it.
Well, the official line out of Google still is that you want an individual page for each location, as opposed to a page with all 10 or whatever on them.
Exactly.
At this point, there's last I heard, maybe a year or so ago.
Now put 500
you want
cities
individual
in the
pages. Yeah,
500 cities in the footer.
That's a classic technique. Yeah. But yeah, certainly, I think that's the way to go.
But if you've got a franchise though without your own website too, when you're on your and then you've got the whole Google Plus local page to deal with, but then you want to link to that location page on the main website, not to the main website. But also, good luck talking to whoever they got in the IT department running the website for the franchise.
Yeah, I dealt with a client with franchises, and it was impossible. The corporate wasn't going to do anything. They just had their website. They gave them one page, and they forced every one of the franchisees to use Yodel.
Oh.
It was a total nightmare.
Well, yeah, because then the main franchise starts eating their lunch, right? So.
Oh, I mean,
it's got to be structured properly.
It's actually got all of their franchisees building links for them.
Exactly.
Well, and they had 900 franchises. Imagine how they were getting some money back from Yodel.
And Yodel's working behind the scenes to screw it up for all of them. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, they were charging them $750 a month for AdWords that were, I sat down and talked to them at Yodel trying to get some answers, and it was, pretty impossible. So, and they had no alternative. They had to do what corporate said, franchise corporate said. So they were eventually they couldn't really even use me. So.
One of the really sad things with local, this goes back to things you were saying a long time ago, David. I think you and Steve both, and the situation with Google and mom and pop stuff, is that local, for right now, presents some of the most complicated situations for people who have no budget to hire people to spend hours to fix it. So they are particularly susceptible to the $99 a month solutions, which only exacerbates the situation. And will put them out of business.
Yep.
Yeah, it's particularly bad.
Corporate attacks in local from a different scale, because you guys are talking about like a couple locations. What if you got like 100? Like, what if you got like 500 to 1,000 locations? It's a whole different animal. Like, for example, people will go in the screenshot you see Burger King here is closed today. It's not closed today. Someone went in and changed the hours on it because they haven't claimed their listing, and this won't show up in a mobile result near you because they're closed. So what happens is we're going to go to the McDonald's close by, or we're going to go to all the others, see how now they're related, because every time when I look for Burger King, I'm going to get a McDonald's here. I'm going to get a Wendy's here. I'm going to get different kinds of things because these people, P.F. Chang's, actually claim their location. So they're going to show up here without the responsible claiming of the location. People can make you closed. People can just remove your name because this is actually a location, but they've removed the name, and now it's just, this is for a Subway. But they took all the Subway information out, and the location is no longer registered. So there's
even if it's verified, you can still change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's as simple as.
A big problem, myself. The fact that once you are verified, that any idiot can go up and change it. That's just, they're going to get their ass sued.
Haven't they recently made changes with those listings? Because I had a business listing for myself years ago, long before there was a Google Plus, and they just rolled it into Google Plus.
Christ, people actually went in and changed the phone number for the CI fucking A.
Well, what I'm asking is, didn't this risk get greater after they rolled it into needing to be verified? Because I used to have complete control of it on my Google account.
The risk has always been there as long as any idiot can go in and verify a listing.
Okay, I had a places page. I had a places page in 2008, and it was there. And the reason I put it there is like, oh, now I'm on page 1 of Google when you search for this because it's in the keywords, So I thought it was cool. But I was just hacking. And then all of a sudden I lost custody of my page because it was associated with a Gmail account that I use for analytics and AdWords, etc., that I don't use for Google Plus. So I had to go find it, and I had to claim it on Google Plus. Something changed in the way they handled those pages, those business listings.
Yeah, but
recently.
You can, even verified, you can still just change them. I mean, to prove the point, when someone said to me the other day you couldn't, I went and changed all the hours on Google London. I closed them for the week. Subsequently, that they have put a specific block on any Google properties now, but you can change any verified listing anywhere.
Did you do that through the Google Plus page or through like MapMaker?
MapMaker. All you need is someone else who is active. Yeah, you can change any business you want. All you need is someone else who is active to verify your change.
Right.
If you just went in and changed it, if it was really obvious, the Google robot would basically deny your change. But all you need is someone who is active, within Google, using Google Plus, etc., who's active, who's made a few changes, just to verify your change. Then the robot tends to approve it.
Wow. And if you have a fair number of people go in and click, this business is closed.
Yeah, just verify it, yeah. If you have
Boom, boom,
people
boom.
just verify it on different accounts, job done.
Throw a little bit of fiber at it, I think is what you said, Steve.
Yeah, well, even because then you start running into local IP address tracking. So if you've got, I've seen it before where local businesses have had employees go home and mark their competitor as closed.
Or if all the McDonald's managers wanted to get together and close all the Burger Kings in town.
Yeah, that's going to have less of an effect because most people are going to understand that Burger Kings are still open. Not so much that the jewelry store down the street's still open.
Yeah, it's really a problem for small business.
And and then we had the discussion about the restaurant that basically lost his ass because Google created a listing for him that he knew nothing about, and enough people written labeled it as closed, and he couldn't figure out why his business plummeted. It never occurred to him to go on because he didn't do the internet. He never got online. He didn't have email.
I mean, I don't want to slag anyone off, but the mapmaker TCs are pig ignorant. When I had a couple of things, and that's where I went and changed the hours for Google HQ because they wouldn't believe me. But the point was, I had a business who they kept on actually changing a verified business's address to 2 streets down, and I was like, no, guys. This is his business. This is where he is. And they were saying, yeah, but the road doesn't match. And I was like, well, can't you just zoom in on the road? The road name is down there. It's not my fault you've got the road name further down the road. Do you know what I mean? So even if it's ridiculous.
Well, and again, it goes to the complexity of some of the local. There's an example somebody was using in a blog post yesterday that they were having an issue with Apple Maps for more than a year, and they finally drilled down to that what was being used is the building in the 1940s was one building at that address, and at some point it got split into 2 buildings and new addresses were created, but public records still had, right, so the fundamental information about the location. The local stuff, it just, for some people, the problem is so complicated to get to the root of what's causing it, because they were having the same thing. Every time they updated the address, in a short amount of time, it would get put back to the way it was, which any human being could look and say there is no such thing.
We ran into that problem in when they did a urban redevelopment in a town back in Indiana, where they basically went through and what used to be massive factories and giant parking lots all got leveled, and they built strip malls and beautiful little shopping centers and the whole bit, each with their own unique address. What a nightmare that was, trying to convince Google that these were legitimate addresses when because they were getting their information from wherever they were getting it, saying, no, it's just this one big building.
I've got a client right now. He was partners in a dental office, and they had a name, something dental. And then he switched off and got an office right next door in the same building, and his name is something dental health. And it's all this, and they have the same address, and then they have a third entity, which is the 2 of them and associates. All 3 have a website and the same address, and he's been wondering why his site hasn't ranked at all. He finally changed he put 2 suites in the building, and I'm trying to convince him to change his name completely, because I don't see how the algorithms with the same addresses is going to be able to decipher what the heck is going on there.
I think the single biggest issue with local these days are where you have almost like joint ventures, where you have real estate brokers with a dozen agents inside one building, or you have medical centers with a dozen doctors in one building. Each may be doing something unique, and each should legitimately be shown for that address because they're not all that one person. They're each have their own service, their own nursing staff, their own everything. Yet Google Local cannot wrap its brain around that fact.
Yeah, and it's Mapmaker. What I've recently sorted out an issue for a shopping center, which has offices on the one side. So it'll be floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, and it'll be room X, floor 1. The way I got Local to sort it out was actually on the shopping center on their actual page, create, obviously a listing for all the businesses, but properly lay it out. Floor 1, etc., etc. Floor 2, office 1 on floor 1, etc. Lay it all properly out. Then, of course, I got the post office to register on their systems that all of these new offices and all of these buildings are correct. Now, that costs them quite a bit to get a post office engineer to come out. So it's not a cheap thing. But if, of course, you've got hundreds of offices, it's well worth doing. Once it was registered, obviously, across there, it went through multiple databases. Of course, it updated in all the directory listings, etc., etc. And then we updated the maps to the actual and linked it to the actual site's property page. That seems to have done the trick by segmenting it out in the most rational way. But of course, having the post office, I think that was the key to it. Having it in all the databases around, and recognizing it as actual individual offices and businesses. That was the key. I know
how much trouble we had. We just built a new house where there was only cornfields before, and getting a legitimate address was 3 months worth of work for a single house. I can't imagine the amount of work involved for an office complex or something like that, trying to convince the post office that they need to do this, especially when, like here where we're at, the post office, the electric company, and the sheriff's department are all involved in assigning an address.
Wow.
And if you don't get them out there in the right order and get the right approvals, it's a nightmare. I finally had to have the sheriff's office call the electric company and threaten to come down there with a sheriff's deputy to get them to let us have the address.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
I think too, Slosky's entity stuff and things he's been talking about starts to play into this. Our office is in a renovated, what was a public school up until 1992, and it's now multiple office suites. But working through, so it's a historic building. So what does Wikipedia or Wikimapia have about the building? So when you're in a situation like that, it can be a long-term battle, which again goes back to for some people, from a pure business standpoint, you just have to say, this is why you're going to have to invest your money in something else, because you don't have enough to straighten this out. Keep an eye on it. Maybe it gets better, but as a business owner, you cannot afford to fix this situation. You're going to have to do something else.
Okay, let's turn this on its head for a second here, because Marvienne has to get going with the kids out from school, so she's asking sort of the inverse, which is how do you handle a client that is mostly local but has stuff for sale worldwide, such as local classes, sales workout DVDs. Oh, we'll go with Steve on this one. So you got the workout world, Steve. So you got local stuff you're doing, I guess, at the brick and mortar, but you're also selling DVDs internationally.
2 websites. Plain and simple. That's what we've done. 2 websites.
One for each country where you're marketing?
No, we just used one. We built one website that was purely for the local school where people could actually go and take the classes.
Right.
And then another website that just sold the stuff. Because it literally is 2 different approaches to marketing on the internet. So it makes sense in this case to have 2 different websites.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Makes sense to me, for sure.
The other thing too, right? The most basic thing: go and look at what Google is doing in that query space right now, because that's what you have to deal with.
And welcome to the joy of fighting for turf in the workout niche.
Oh, no.
My
No
God.
kidding. Wow.
It is a brutal, brutal niche, and if you thought these spammers were bad in other niches, welcome to work to fitness.
Ain't nothing. Yeah.
Awesome 6-pack abs.
And yes, since Steve's on it, Marvin, if you're using affiliates, be careful of that too. Steve's had lots of grief there.
Oh yeah. It's just a joy. And wait till you have haters that don't like your stuff and report it all the time and get your accounts shut down for no good reason.
Yeah, was that YouTube? Among other things?
And Facebook. Getting that stuff turned back on is a real pain in the ass.
Easy to turn it off, very hard to get it turned back on.
Sounds like
So hey, so back to the Steve. He was talking about the the guy with the restaurant that had the issues and shut down. You kind of wonder if at least on the state side of things, all the way back in high school, you would have business classes, right? We had to learn how to type, learn how basic accounting principles. At this point, you start thinking, you better start telling businesses about life online because you may get everything else right, and that it's not fair that somebody didn't tell you that Google might do something to kill your business. Welcome to the terrible, cruel, harsh world.
It's brutally difficult to convince people just how important it is, especially when you do it for a living, because then you're automatically tainted with well, you just want my money.
Right.
I don't care who you hire. You just need to hire somebody and make sure that this is taken care of, because if you don't, it's going to suck. Well, Google can't do that. Yes, they can. And they will, and there is not a damn thing you can do about it. You can sue them. This guy is looking at suing Google over this, and Google's claiming no responsibility.
Good luck.
This is one of those where Google's falling back on user-generated content as an excuse. It doesn't work when we fall back on it, but it's okay for them. So it just my whole love-hate relationship with Google has just become a hate relationship over the years.
Yeah, you said love-hate there. I was going to say, where's the love?
Yeah,
There was
Google,
love early on.
it's kind of like the pimp relationship, I imagine.
Yeah, pretty much. Where's my money, man?
Oh, man.
Hey, $5, woman!
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Hopefully she, Marvienne also said so far she's made domain.com/sub with the local. Yeah. No, again, go with it and bold different domain. All right. Okay. What else?
So the regulators, did you guys hit the all the recent stuff, the conversations about what Mueller is saying and the Penguin recovery without an algo refresh?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably not Penguin. It's probably a different algorithm.
Friend of the show, are you?
He just comes in Friday here and gets a recap.
Well, hey, you can't have all of my time during the week.
Yeah, we did get into that. I guess everything from,
Okay.
the debates as far as recovering from Penguin. There's so obviously the fact that we'd all like to see it, if obviously get itself like a panda, that it's running every month or so, not every year.
But even among us, all three of us, I don't agree that you can't recover before the algo runs, because I've seen it. And
Yeah, well, you know what John says to that is you've also done positive things SEO-wise that might be being reflected. So.
yeah, but that doesn't go from not there or number 300 to number 20. I'm sorry, it don't happen like that. But I can see 3 or 4 move, not 300. Sorry.
Depends on the niche.
Well, I was hit by a few things. It was, dealing with payday. and dealing with some other things. But he says right in his own fucking Hangouts that the disavow is indexed and processed when the page the link is on gets indexed, which can only mean that they can say with the authority that they have that those pages will only be processed when they run the algo, that they've got these pages quarantined, that they're doing this on purpose. Period. That's all it can mean, because they've said themselves that, you know, if you can invoke indexing, that gets it processed. Now you hear people like Kemper screaming from the mountaintops that they're recovering Penguin, and that's how he's doing it. Pings and massive spam linking, probably. So just exacerbating the problem, but that's the only way you can do it. Well, that also breaking the links. So at the
at the end of the fucking day, they just got to get it incorporated in. Well, get it fixed or throw it out or get,
they got to do something soon. They got to do something.
Bullshit right now.
I think they're going to get sued if they don't do something soon. And I mean not a little bit of suing. I mean a major class action suit. Because anybody...
It doesn't always come down to it's our index, so you don't be in it if you don't want to be.
Yeah, but this is different. This is different. They're talking about the algorithm. Now they're purposely stopping the algorithm from running.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be a tough lawsuit.
Apparently you'd have to be bigger than Mahalo to pull that suit off, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
And whether people win, when has that ever stopped a class action?
Yeah, well, someone could try, that's for sure.
And when is a class action not ended up in someone getting money from Google?
But our larger companies really going to do this, Steve Gerrits, are they really going to do this because then they'd have to show all their data, wouldn't they, as part of the lawsuit? Or as, you know, wouldn't that come to light?
Yeah.
Meaning the person, like if I've got a client who's been spanked or this and that, and they've got shareholders or investors or whatever, do they really want to take a lawsuit that's going to make this, you know, data public as part of it? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of I kind of put it in the same category as the banks. When they get hacked, nobody knows about it. And they get hacked all the damn time, simply because, you know, letting that information get out that you had a problem is almost always a negative impact. I got a kick out of it. I was watching a podcast. God, I can't remember where it was now, but one of the original Sempo founders had got involved with a company online, and they had gotten penalized by Google heavily. And the first thing she said was, it wasn't us, it was a contractor that we hired. It's like, okay, if you're one of the original founders of Sempo, and you're allowing your contractors to get your websites banned, how is a mom and pop supposed to police all this shit?
Yeah, you could say, what does that say about that person from Sempo?
Well, yeah, you could, but you would think that somebody involved with Sempo would have a little bit more knowledge than your average mom and pop. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. I see your point.
I mean, you would think that she would have understood that these things need to be monitored.
Oh, I know who you're talking about now. I'm ending my part in this conversation.
So anyway,
I'm liable to get sued.
Shush.
Okay. Let's see. Any more questions? I think we covered most of this. Not a question, but thanks for inviting me. Love the interaction and free flow. Anything goes format. I'll be back. Thank you.
Well, that's what we like. Our mother likes a little company, right, Dave?
That's right, man. Our three moms can't be the only ones watching, right? So, all right. Well, 2:25. I guess I'll kill the public portion of this. And y'all still out there watching, we'll drop a link on the event page if you'd like to come in and hang out afterwards. But an hour and a half seems like plenty of time for people to be stuck with us. Yeah, I know.